This question tests your understanding of the material's efficiency, usage variance, also called the material's quantity variance. This variance measures whether the company used more or fewer materials than the standard quantity allowed for the actual level of production. An unfavorable materials usage variance means that more raw materials were consumed than expected, indicating excessive waste, spoilage, defects, or inefficient production. Management should investigate operational factors that increase material consumption. When analyzing the causes, students should distinguish between factors that directly affect production efficiency and those that have little connection to material usage. Poor quality materials, poorly trained workers, or an inefficient production process can all increase scrap and waste, leading to an unfavorable usage variance. In contrast, activities occurring after production, such as shipping finished goods, generally do not affect the amount of raw material consumed during manufacturing. The key is to identify the factor that is least likely to influence material usage. A. Inadequate training of the direct labor employees. Incorrect. Poorly trained workers may make mistakes, causing more material waste and an unfavorable usage variance. B. Poor performance of the shipping employees. Correct. Shipping employees handle finished products after production, so their performance is unlikely to affect the amount of raw material used during manufacturing. C. Poor design of the production process or product. Incorrect. An inefficient production process can require additional materials and increase waste. D. Poor quality of the raw materials. Incorrect. Inferior materials often create defects, spoilage, and excess scrap, resulting in an unfavorable materials usage variance. Correct answer. B. Poor performance of the shipping employees. An unfavorable materials efficiency, usage variance is usually caused by production-related issues, such as poor quality materials, inadequate worker training, or inefficient production design. Since shipping activities occur after manufacturing is completed, poor shipping performance is least likely to affect the quantity of raw materials used in production. This question tests your understanding of direct labor variance analysis under a standard costing system. The total labor variance measures the difference between the actual labor cost and the standard labor cost allowed for actual production. To help managers identify the source of cost differences, the total labor variance is divided into two components. A labor price, rate, variance, caused by paying workers a wage rate different from the standard rate. A labor efficiency variance, caused by using more or fewer labor hours than the standard allows. Students must pay close attention to whether variances are favorable, F, or unfavorable, U. A favorable variance is treated as a positive amount, while an unfavorable variance is treated as a negative amount when solving algebraically. In this problem, a total labor variance equals $15,000 favorable. A labor efficiency variance equals $18,000 unfavorable. Let the labor price variance equal X. 15,000 F equals X plus, dash 18,000 U. X equals 15,000 plus 18,000 equals 33,000 F. Therefore, the labor price variance is $33,000 favorable. A. $3,000 favorable. Incorrect. This results from incorrectly subtracting the variances. B. $3,000 unfavorable. Incorrect. The sign and amount are both incorrect. C. $33,000 favorable. Correct. A $33,000 favorable labor price variance offsets the $18,000 unfavorable efficiency variance, producing the $15,000 favorable total labor variance. D. $33,000 unfavorable. Incorrect. This would make the total variance unfavorable rather than favorable. Correct answer. C. $33,000 favorable. Using the relationship total variance equals price variance plus efficiency variance, the company must have achieved a $33,000 favorable labor price variance to more than offset the $18,000 unfavorable labor efficiency variance, resulting in an overall $15,000 favorable labor variance. This question tests your understanding of the relationship between direct labor efficiency variance and overhead variances in a standard costing system. Highlight Incorporated applies factory overhead based on direct labor hours, DLHs, meaning direct labor hours serve as the allocation base for variable overhead. A direct labor efficiency variance measures whether actual labor hours differ from the standard hours allowed for actual production. A favorable labor efficiency variance means that actual labor hours are less than the standard hours allowed, indicating greater labor efficiency. The variable overhead efficiency variance uses the same labor hour base. Since both variances depend on the same difference between actual and standard labor hours, a favorable labor efficiency variance will also produce a favorable variable overhead efficiency variance, assuming direct labor hours are the allocation base. Students should distinguish this from the variable overhead spending variance, which depends on actual overhead costs rather than labor hours, and from fixed overhead volume variance, which depends on production volume. A variable overhead spending variance must be favorable. Incorrect. Spending variance depends on actual overhead costs incurred, not labor efficiency. B. Variable overhead efficiency variance must be favorable. Correct. Since overhead is applied using direct labor hours, fewer labor hours than standard produce a favorable variable overhead efficiency variance. C. Fixed overhead volume variance must be unfavorable. Incorrect. Fixed overhead volume variance depends on production volume relative to budget, not labor efficiency. D. Direct labor rate variance must be unfavorable. Incorrect. Labor rate variance depends on wage rates paid and is independent of labor efficiency. Correct answer. B. Variable overhead efficiency variance must be favorable. Because both direct labor efficiency variance and variable overhead efficiency variance are based on direct labor hours, a favorable labor efficiency variance automatically results in a favorable variable overhead efficiency variance when overhead is applied on the basis of direct labor hours.